Revenge films.
I think my dad was the king of deadbeat dads. He left my mom to care for Grandma all these years. Problem was, Grandma would always complain about my mom to her face without us kids noticing. Even though my mother wasn't related to Grandma by blood, she took good care of her. On the other hand, the blood-related father didn't even care to ask how Grandma was doing. My brother and I were still in elementary school back then. We thought our dad was tired from working late. When my brother and I tried to help our mom take care of Grandma, Grandma would angrily say, "Don't make your kids do your work!" I was still young back then, so I didn't dare to go against my grandma to help Mom out. I think it was Grandma's way of harassing Mom. I don't get why Grandma didn't like Mom. She should have been mad at her son for not doing anything. After many years of continuous abuse, my mom stopped smiling and became overly thin. Even when my brother and I won awards, she wouldn't show any signs of happiness and stress. So, we made a pact to never hurt our mom with our indulgence. A few years later, my grandma died from natural causes when I was in junior high. However, after all the abuse she has given to my mom, I didn't feel sad when she died. In fact, I hope this would make my mom's life a bit easier being free from the abuser. That was when my dad decided to divorce my mom in front of our faces. We were all too shocked to even say a word. I just remember her asking Dad why would he do such a thing. It was so out of the blue we didn't even know why he suddenly changed his mind. Apparently, his reason for his divorce was because our mom didn't do much of the chores around the house. He also added that my mom was too tired to sleep together, which is why he wanted a divorce. That was when my mom lost it. "You didn't do anything to help me. Even the kids helped me do the chores around the house. You didn't even take out the trash when I asked you to the night before. I did everything for this family." Of course, my brother and I were on Mom's side. We didn't even know if Dad was being serious about the divorce. How could he be so ignorant when his own mother was the one who made Mom's life hell? I couldn't believe his audacity.
I wanted freshly cooked meals! I didn't want some food that was prepared the night before! You're a housewife! You have to do everything around the house! I have to do unpaid overtime just to provide for this family! Why do I have to help you?
He kept screaming at my mom about how she failed as a housewife and how the family wouldn't be here without him. Then my brother suddenly stood up and said,
I didn't want to say this because Mom would be sad, but Dad, I know you don't work overtime.
My mom and I were both confused.
What? When Mom became sick, I called your company to ask where you were. The company told me you already went home. When I asked them, doesn't he work overtime? They told me the company doesn't need their workers to work overtime. So Dad, where were you all those times?
Dad became speechless after he was caught red-handed. He tried to sway the conversation by saying not to call his company, but my brother immediately shut him down. From all the evidence, I could imagine what things Dad was doing behind our backs. I guess my brother knew about it too. That's why he said Mom would be sad if she knew the truth. I guess Mom figured out everything too, as she said, "Okay, let's get a divorce." She then signed the papers and handed them to Dad. Instead of Dad divorcing Mom, she flipped it on him and gave him the papers. After the incident, I found out everything about Dad. He was cheating on his wife with a 20-year-old lady. We found this out after the lady came to our house threatening us. Needless to say, they finalized the divorce. Dad was planning to start a new life with his young girlfriend, but they had to pay a hefty amount for the divorce. Mom was able to get 1,000,000 yen in compensation for all the abuse she had to endure, as well as having airtight evidence of an affair. A few months later, Dad told me he wanted me to come with him. Apparently, the reason he asked me was that he wanted me to do all the chores around the house. I was just dumbfounded by his audacity. Of course, I declined his offer. I wonder how dumb he could have possibly been to ask me in the first place. Why would he think I would choose him over my mom? Not to mention how he tried to cut my brother out of any ties with the family after he exposed Dad. But we have no obligation to listen to him now that he's not even part of our family. I still remember Mom's face when she heard this. She looked like the devil. Even through all the abuse over the years, Mom never stopped loving my brother and me. After the incident, we resumed our life as usual. 2 years ago, my brother became a father himself. I don't know how my dad got the news, but he immediately started bombarding my mom to let him see his grandkid. In one letter, he claimed he still loved his old family and wanted to reconnect. Guess his new family didn't accept him. We all just ignored his message until we found out he contacted the kindergarten.
Grandpa is going to pick you up today.
The teacher at the kindergarten got suspicious and called my brother's wife, which ended in a big fight again. I guess it made sense the teacher got suspicious. My brother's kid never told the teacher about any existence of a grandpa. That's why my mom immediately went to the kindergarten to pick up the kid. Dad never came to the kindergarten, but to be sure, they told the kindergarten not to allow anyone but my sister-in-law to pick up their kid. I bet my dad will end up in jail one of these days. It's scary to think about it. My sister-in-law never even saw her dad. So, to believe a stranger was going to pick up her kid. My brother even told her about everything he's done to our family, so she knows how dangerous he could be. They eventually changed the kindergarten on the off chance that Dad would forcefully take their kids away. I bet he's going to make us take care of him like he made Mom do to Grandma. I'm just ashamed I'm related to him by blood. As for Mom, she was finally able to smile after my dad left. She's currently building a house for all of us to live in. My husband is better at chores than I am and helps around the house. In fact, he's usually the one that asks me to help with the chores rather than the other way around. But he was my enemy. Last year, after we married, we decided to visit his parents' place for the new year. I've enjoyed his party with his friends from college. However, he caught a cold during the trip, leaving me to enjoy the vacation alone. I even drove him back home, which took around 5 hours. I did all of this for him, believing next year we would be able to enjoy the vacation together. This year, I got pregnant with my baby, so it'd be our first and last vacation alone. We were planning on staying at home and ordering some food for the new year, but my husband had already booked a plane ticket to his place and some plans to party once again. I angrily told him, I thought we were going to spend New Year's together. New Year's is the only time we get to spend with our parents. Plus, everyone told me they wanted to meet you again. It's not that I hate my in-laws, they're charming people. There's so many of them, and I honestly can't tell what they're trying to say because of the dialect. I'd be fine if we visited them for a short period, but staying there for 4 to 5 days always make me feel claustrophobic. And not to mention, I'm 9 months pregnant right now. I don't want to stress the baby out with long rides. I just wish we could stay home for our last time together. When I asked him if we could go sightseeing, he told me,
You can go there on the way back.
why is my wish just pushed off to the side for you? Why do my in-laws have more power over me in this marriage? And why does the wife have to go to their husband's house? Why can't we go to my place?
It's 'cause you married me.
So you think I was the one that joined your family?
I don't think so, but my family feels like that.
But I'm not, right?
Nope, but everyone is friendly in the family. They don't bully you or anything.
I know. I don't want to be just some wife in the family. I guess his family is very traditional and thinks I was given to the family.
I even visited your aunt last year.
That was his excuse for saying this was a fair deal. Your family might think we're weird for not forcing our family to visit on New Year's. Still, we never required our family members to go through the hassle of meeting each year. But you're trying to force your family's ideals on me, right? Isn't that selfish of you? And you say it's fair, but I have to visit your family for 5 days straight while you say hello to one of my relatives. That's not fair, is it? If you want to visit your family, then go by yourself.
It'll be weird if I go alone.
And I'm pregnant right now. I have to deal with that as soon as we get back home, too. Sitting in the car for long periods make me uncomfortable. Not to mention my water during my break. So I won't be going this year. I want to prioritize my baby before your family's ideals. I thought that would be the end of the discussion, but the next day...
You feel better now that you've taken out all your frustrations? Are you ready to accept my offer?
He really didn't listen to a single thing I said. That was when I realized he was my enemy rather than my ally. He never had any stereotypical values for family, but that was just a front. I even had my doctor tell my husband how a long trip was not healthy for a mother and their unborn baby. I guess that worked because he agreed to cancel the plans for the new year. But 1 month before New Year's, I got a sudden call from my husband.
My grandpa just collapsed! He's in the hospital right now! We have to visit him this weekend!
He was already preparing for a long drive to his hometown. I guess in my husband's brain, 9-month pregnancy was terrible for long-distance travel, while an 8-month pregnancy was just fine. And he thought bringing my unborn baby to Grandpa would make him suddenly feel better. Not to mention it was flu season, which means the hospital is filled with sick people that could possibly transfer the sickness to others. I was planning on being free from stress until the baby was born, but the news just piled on, all the pressure. What if I get sick from the flu in the hospital? I'm not allowed to take any medicine because of the baby. I feel bad saying this, but could you go to the hospital yourself? I thought this was a valid reason, but thanks to my husband being an enemy, he told me.
It's fine! Everyone is wearing masks nowadays. We can go together!
This was another reality check for me. I was so close to divorcing him on the spot. When he returned home that day, I was ready to end things. About us.
Oh yeah! I decided I should go to the hospital myself. I thought about what you said, and you're right. We shouldn't bring you into such a dangerous environment.
What's going on?
She scolded me when I told my mother I would visit Grandpa with you. So I decided you could stay in the car while I visit him. You can sleep in the back seat the whole way through.
I couldn't believe him. He was going to let me sleep on the back of a car on a highway? Did your mother really mean it like that? Can you ask her again? My husband called his mother and gave me the phone. I know you're worried about Grandpa and want to come in, so you should take the train instead. The hospital is too dangerous, so you can stay at my place while we wait. I was just told we would visit Grandpa and nothing else. I have no idea what's going on. I heard the flu is rampant around your area, and I don't think a 6 hours drive is good for the baby. Oh, sorry. My son told me you really wanted to come, so I thought of ways to compensate. I'm totally fine with you staying at your house. I decided to ask her about New Year's. Oh, don't worry about that too. You don't have to come all the way here just for us. It's just that my son told me you really wanted to meet everyone this year. I'm so sorry for the trouble he's causing you. That's when I realized my husband was behind everything. I was so glad that my mother-in-law was on my side. Afterwards, my husband's mother called him to scold him about how inconsiderate he was.
I just wanted everyone to see your stomach. I'm sorry for lying to you.
After the incident, I decided to give him a book on pregnancy, and he finally understood the severity of the situation.
I'm so sorry. I didn't know.
I guess he wasn't my enemy. He was just plain dumb. He still prioritizes his own entertainment over me, but decided that the baby was more important than anything else. I guess he needs a little more time being the family's father. That's why I decided to treat my husband like a child and teach him from the ground up. He's a good person on the inside. He needs to learn a little more about the world around him.
My name is Harumi Tsukiyama, and I'm 37 years old. When summer comes every year, I remember the time when I was in high school. Back then, there was an extreme geek in my class. I'm gonna be a manga author in the future. She would bring a fanzine to school and read it cover to cover, smiling all by herself. When we were getting hyped over each other's love stories, I don't like love between men and women. There's nothing but tactics and it isn't true love. On the other hand, boys' love overcomes many obstacles to be together. True love. Boys' love is the purest of all. She would proclaim passionately and ruin all of our fun. She would say, I'm also a model. And she would bring pictures of her weird cosplay and brag all the while. And she would go on boasting her story about how she blew her parents' whole textbook allowance on geeky merch literally the day before they were out for sale, and was severely scolded at by her parents. She would go on being a show-off in this way, but no one wanted anything to do with her, so they just blankly nodded and ignored everything she was saying. But back then, geek spelt negative stereotypes, and thus, Miss Geek in our class was obviously no exception, and was regarded with cold, hard eyes from everyone else. Additionally, there was one thing about her that we just couldn't disregard: her body odor. Just perhaps she'd never taken a bath since entering high school. No showers at all. Her tousled hair looked so reggae, and her shoulders always had snow, even when it wasn't winter. Just by looking at exposed skin from under her clothes, patches of black, dried dirt smears were the highlights, and I barely ever go out. Basically, I stay home all day, is what Miss Geek would publicly say, and thus, even though she shouldn't even have had a tan, her skin was a few tones darker with dirt and filth. One day, I heard the scratching of someone during class, and when I turned to look at Miss Geek, who was sitting behind me, her notebook and the floor beneath her were covered with soot and dirt. I almost threw up. In a nutshell, because of her ridiculously putrid smell going about the classroom and the dried skin and dirt that fell off her at the slightest bit of movement, no one wanted to get close to her, and that girl's seat was forced into a corner 2 whole desks away from everyone. No matter how many times we told her, she would claim, "Huh? I take a bath every day, and I'm very particular about my clothes." There was nothing we could do. She smelled so foul, one of my classmates tried spraying her with some perfume. It was like pouring gasoline to douse a campfire. Her odor and the perfume had a chemical reaction that created an even more powerful smell. The windows were opened immediately for fresh air. We tried appealing to the teacher, but he said that attacking on account of body odor is a violation of human rights and was useless to us. Without any progress, the long-dreaded homecoming of summer had arrived. Our high school has a swimming pool, and we were going to swim as our PE class during summer. Not to mention Miss Geek, who said, "The swimsuit for swimming can be anything, right? I'm gonna wear a bikini." And was so hyped about it. Going in the same water as Miss Geek, changing in the same hot, humid changing room as Miss Geek. Just thinking about these atrocities sent chills down everyone's spine, and "You're never taking any baths. Don't you even try to come. If you think you're gonna go to the pool tomorrow, you're definitely gonna wash and scratch you and your hair clean. Got it? We would force these things upon her. That's cruel. I'm also looking forward to swimming, you know. And I'm telling you, I take a bath every day.
If you were, your hair wouldn't be shedding anything, now would it? Even your whole body is black with dirt.
That's just too far. I'm doing everything. We were all against her at this point, and even Miss Geek, with an unbreakable spirit of stubbornness, was vulnerable here, for real. And this was all witnessed by the teacher, and this whole thing was acknowledged as a case of bullying, and
You will not say anything about her body odor!
he harshly disciplined us following that. You also know about this teacher. Her whole body is coated with dirt, her head swarming with skin flake. You very well know what'll happen if we go in the same swimming pool as her, right? We even tried objecting to his words, but he said,
If the madam in question says she's washing every day, there's no way she won't be allowed in the pool!
Apparently, this bullying incident was discussed in a teachers' meeting, and it was decided that the victims should be respected. Upon hearing this, one girl lost it. Her name was Chiho Mubita. She was always outgoing and fearless and was a central person of our class with whom everyone wanted to discuss stuff. Chiho, during the lunch break just before PE, grabbed Miss Geek by her sleeve and dragged her to the bathroom. "Stop this! What are you doing?" She paid no attention to the questions of Miss Geek, who was shocked by what was suddenly going on, grabbed her head, and started to wash her hair with soap in the sink. At first, we all lost our minds and were like, "Blah! Chiho, what are you doing? You're insane touching that head."
Hurry up! Everyone help me here. We won't make it in time for swimming.
Chiho asked for our support. She had the idea of getting Miss Geek as clean as she could before the swimming class. "Oh, so that's what you're doing. All right, let's do this." Then everyone joined together and started to get Miss Geek clean. Some of us pinned the thrashing Miss Geek down while others went to find someone with some shampoo on standby. And with teamwork, we literally rinsed and repeated. We filled up plastic bottles we had and buckets, passed them along, emptied them over and over again. There were some who kicked the raging Miss Geek's butt and told her to calm down. This scene here would undoubtedly be a clear case of school bullying at its worst. And honestly, it wasn't anything but bullying. We knew that. We did. But we were desperate. It was monstrous. Black liquid squirted out of Miss Geek's hair, and it sprayed on the mirror and the walls, dripping ominously everywhere. As Miss Geek's hair and uniform got wet, it mixed with the humid air of the room, and a violently rotten reek drifted across the bathroom. Ugh. Sorry, I'm a barf. I can't take it. My head. I'm dizzy. I'm out. A few classmates ran away from the scene, too putrid and too horrifying. A few threw up in the bathroom, and others rushed into the nurse's room. In the end, a regular bottle of shampoo was completely used up. But it was worth it because Miss Geek's hair became lustrous, and we could see an angel's ring on her head. Our good conscience withheld us from stripping her naked and washing her whole body, but we divided the work of scraping her arms, legs, and face, and other parts that were exposed from under her clothes, spotless, and we managed to behold pale, healthy skin for a time, lol.
Thanks, everyone. Because of you, we made it in time for class.
Chiho said with a bright expression on her face. I thought Chiho a saint, with how she touched that dirty body and ran her fingers through that dumpster pile of hair. But Miss Geek ran into the nurse's office and freaking blabbed everything about what had happened. We were all summoned to the principal's office where we endured a superstorm of rebuke and discipline by our homeroom teacher and teachers in charge of student lifestyles. The swimming classes were canceled. While she was being monitored because of this whole bullying of Miss Geek thing, Chiho briefly faced a suspension after Operation Shampoo Miss Geek, but her mother, who came to pick her up, actually apologized and thanked us, saying that Miss Geek's mother was at a complete loss over her daughter never washing herself clean. The whole incident caused its curtains with us, never receiving any punishment at all. We were sent to the nurse's office to apologize to Miss Geek, but instead we said,
Wow, your hair's so beautiful. You became so cute.
"Your skin is as pale and beautiful as fresh snow." We never intended to apologize, but instead showered her with compliments, lol. As for Miss Geek, after this whole thing,
Tomorrow is swimming, so make sure you take a shower, yeah?
ding!
Yeah, I will.
She would always take a bath at but a single word of the other girls, lol.
Hi, I'm Tiffany. I'm a 26-year-old housewife. I became pregnant soon after I got married.
I'm going to work hard to provide for my family. My dream is to buy our own house.
This is my husband, Tristan. When we found out that we were pregnant, he was so excited and said that he would support the family financially as I had quit my job. I was so happy to have such a loving husband, but as time passed, things started to change. I'm done with the laundry. I need to prepare dinner now. During my pregnancy, my morning sickness was making me feel ill. I was feeling constantly nauseous and sleepy. My sense of smell also became very sensitive. Whenever I cooked, the smells in the kitchen made me nauseous. Ugh, I'm gonna be sick. But I need to make dinner. Tristan is working so hard for me and the baby.
I'm home.
Tristan, you're home.
What's this?
I'm sorry. I wasn't feeling well today, so this is all I can make. The smells from cooking make me feel sick. That day, I was so nauseous that I threw up several times in the bathroom. For dinner, I had grilled some salmon, cooked rice, and made some soup.
If this is all you can make, I would have just bought something from the convenience store. You should have told me before I got home. My stomach is not going to be satisfied with this simple dinner.
So you're not gonna eat the dinner that I cooked for you?
Nope, I was expecting something better. I'm tired, so I'm going to bed.
Before we got married, Tristan and I were living together, and we both had full-time jobs. Back then, Tristan was very sweet to me. We would split the household chores, but now he saw his role as the breadwinner and didn't help out with the chores at all. He left me to do the household chores on my own. If I didn't have morning sickness, I wouldn't have had a problem with the chores, but now I was feeling too sick to get all the work done on my own. Tristan, will you do the dishes and throw out the garbage until my morning sickness eases down?
That's your job.
Okay, then can you at least put your dirty clothes into the washer and hang up your clothes? Tristan is a big slob these days. He leaves his suits on the sofa and his shirts and socks on the floor. I wanted him to clean up for himself at the very least.
I'm tired from work. If you notice my stuff lying around, why can't you pick them up? I need time to relax after work.
But
I read somewhere that pregnant women become short-tempered, and I guess it's true. You used to be nicer to me.
I like to say the same thing to him.
Don't think that you can boss me around just because you're pregnant. You don't even work anymore, so can't you just take care of the house?
I can't believe the words that are coming out of his mouth. In the end, Tristan won, and he continued to not help around the house. He didn't even do the things that I asked him to do, like picking up his own clothes.
I'm going to take a bath, so can you go get my underwear and pajamas?
Okay,
I need to wake up early tomorrow, so can you set the alarm to 6 a.m.?
okay. The days went on like this, and I started to consider leaving Tristan. But I was holding onto the hope that he might change when the baby came, so I kept on going. It turned out that I was wrong. One day, I woke up and I was so sick that I couldn't stop vomiting. Tristan, I'm so sick today. I don't have the energy to cook today. Would you mind eating yesterday's leftovers for breakfast and buying lunch at the convenience store?
Gonna be a long day at work for me. You expect me to eat leftovers?
Tristan then began to lecture me for about 20 minutes.
If you can't take care of the chores now because you feel a little sick, what's gonna happen when the baby arrives? Are you not gonna attend to the baby when you're feeling sick?
Of course not.
Then why is it so easy for you to not take care of me? I'm a part of this family too. I'm the head of the household for that matter. If being pregnant is so tough for you, why don't you get an abortion?
Did you just say abortion?
I did. I never said that I wanted a baby, and I never asked you to have a baby either. You did this on your own. I'm gonna head to work now, and I expect you to finish all the household chores by the time I get back.
He then left to go to work. I burst into tears, and my love for Tristan and our baby began to disappear. I knew it wasn't right to blame the baby, but I felt hatred for the baby too because of its father. I then called my parents and told them that I was considering an abortion. Of course, my parents were furious.
You're going to kill an innocent baby?
You need to calm down and think things through more carefully. I'm calm. I can't love my child when all I feel is hatred for its father. I don't want the baby to be born when I can't love it. According to my parents, my voice that day was very cold and full of hatred. I told my parents how much Tristan had changed after I became pregnant. You should divorce him. The baby's a different story, but no one will blame you for leaving Tristan. If you get an abortion, I'm sure that you'll never get over it, but that's something that you'll have to live with. I told Tristan that I'd be hospitalized because I wasn't feeling well, and went ahead with the abortion. As I had expected, Tristan had no sympathy for the fact that I was being hospitalized. He even said,
I'm not gonna visit someone that gets hospitalized over such a small condition.
True to his word, Tristan didn't come to visit me while I was in the hospital. After I got out of the hospital, I called my parents-in-law to explain to them what I had done.
What, are you crazy? That's unforgivable!
You're evil! You murdered our grandchild! Tristan and his parents came over to my parents' house livid. My parents and I were overwhelmed by their fury.
You killed my baby! You're a monster!
As soon as I heard Tristan shouting, I became very calm. What are you saying? You're the one that told me to get an abortion.
I wasn't serious. I just wanted you to be more responsible and take care of the house.
When Tristan's father heard this, he said to his son,
Tristan, did you really say that to Tiffany? It was supposed to be a joke. Tiffany was being lazy, so I needed to say something to make her listen to me.
I wasn't being lazy. I know that I wasn't able to do things perfectly, but I was doing everything that I can given my morning sickness. You didn't even try to imagine what I was going through and blame me for not being able to do things the way you wanted me to. And you didn't offer to help me at all. You said that if being pregnant was too much for me, I should get an abortion.
I was tired from work and you were using your morning sickness as an excuse not to do anything.
If you were talking about that day, that was the day that I was particularly sick. I wanted you to comfort me, but instead you complained about how I wasn't taking care of you. That's the day my love for you went away. I didn't want to have a baby that was related to you.
You! How dare you say that to your pregnant wife?
What were you thinking? You're a disgrace. Tristan's parents were enraged with their son. They even apologized to me. I found out for the first time then that Tristan had been lying about me to his parents.
Tiffany's been bossing me around ever since she got pregnant. I'm being treated like a slave. I get home tired from work and she makes me do all the chores. She says she can't move because of her morning sickness.
Tristan's parents believed him and thought that I was a bad wife to him. That explains why they were so angry with me when I told them about the abortion. Before I became pregnant, I was close to my parents-in-law and we spoke often on the phone. They were kind to me, so I've been wondering why they never called after I announced my pregnancy. I understand the situation now. I'm so sorry that I went ahead with the abortion without consulting you. We were wrong to trust Tristan's words. I can't imagine how lonely you were during your pregnancy. I'm so sorry that you had to deal with everything by yourself. Tristan's mother began to cry. I'm so sorry that my son mistreated you. By this time, no one was taking Tristan's side. Because of this, it was easy for me to file the divorce papers. With the help of Tristan's support, I was able to receive a $20,000 alimony from Tristan. 1 year after our divorce, I received an email from Tristan. In the email, he wrote,
Tiffany, how are you? I hope that your body and heart is recovered by now. I've actually started to want a baby now. If we get pregnant again, I promise to be a much better husband to you. Would you consider marrying me again?
What the hell? He can't be serious. Of course I ignored his email, but I forwarded it to his parents. Tristan's father gave him a good beating for the email that he sent me. By the way, I'm still single. I was only married for 6 months, but I don't plan on getting married again anytime soon. Also, I don't intend on having a baby ever again. I owe that to my unborn child. I work at a diner and there's this family that comes to eat often. They are regular customers, but the waitstaff at the diner, myself included, are never too happy to see them. The couple and their 2 daughters have been coming to the diner since the 2 girls were small. Since they are regulars, they seem to think that they can do whatever they want. They don't clean up after their daughters' mess, and we spend a lot of time cleaning up after them. Their daughters are still small, so we can understand that they will make a bit of a mess. but we were shocked to see that the couple were allowing them to eat their pasta with their bare hands. The daughters would then touch the sofas and windows with their dirty hands and annoy the other customers. We would then have to go over to the table and ask them to make sure that their daughter stayed seated. Of course, they wouldn't listen. The couple wouldn't say anything to their daughters about bad table manners. As a result, the daughters would play with their leftovers and make even more of a mess. It was better when the diner wasn't busy, but on weekends and holidays, we were totally busy and didn't have the luxury of cleaning up their mess. It took at least 10 minutes to clean up their mess and welcome the next customer. But we couldn't say anything harsh to the family because after all, they were our customers. We just had to put up with it. We had hoped that as the daughters became older, they would calm down a bit. One day, the couple and their daughters came to the diner as usual. The waitstaff and I waited unenthusiastically. At the diner, the waitstaff were waiting close to their assigned tables. The family happened to sit at a table assigned to one of the new waitresses. I'm a little worried about whether or not the new girl will be able to handle them, but I guess I can assist if she needs my support. I felt sorry for the new girl to have to clean up after them, but I decided to let her handle them on her own. After a while, the new girl brought over the pasta orders for the two girls and came over to me after talking with the family. What's wrong?
These customers at my table said that they want to change their daughter's orders from pasta to gratin because they changed their minds.
They changed their minds? So it's not like we got the order wrong then.
No, we didn't. We ordered 2 pastas for their children. I even double-checked the order, and they didn't correct me, so there was no mistake made.
As I listened to her, I looked over to the family's table and heard the daughter saying,
I want to eat some gratin! Where's my gratin? I'm sick of pasta! I don't want to eat this!
Okay, we'll get you your gratins right away. That doesn't sound right. We were not the ones that made a mistake. If it had been our mistake, it would have been a different story, but the customers themselves were saying that they had changed their minds. The new girl ended up listening to their selfish request but felt anxious soon after that. Okay, can you put in their new orders then? And after that, let's switch our table so that I can take it from here.
Oh, thank you so much for your help.
We switched tables and I brought over the new orders to the family. Please be careful as the dishes are very hot. After the girls had finished eating their gratins, I was called over to their table once again. May we have 2 orders of waffles, please? Of course. After the waffles were ready, I brought them over to the family's table. And now the daughters were saying,
I want strawberries with my waffles. I want chocolate waffles instead.
the waffles that they initially ordered had maple syrup and cream on top of them. The father ignored his daughters, and the mother said to me, "We've changed our mind, so can you change the order to strawberry waffles and chocolate waffles?" "Okay, ma'am." I took their new orders and brought over the waffles to their table. At first, the girls were eating their waffles to delight, but they became full and started playing with the strawberry and chocolate sauce. Of course, their parents said nothing. It was obvious that they didn't care because they weren't the ones that had to clean up after their children. The girls put sauce on the sofa fabric and the window pans. After some time, the family got ready to leave the diner. I went over to their tables with takeout bags. "What is this? We didn't order anything else." "Oh, this is what you ordered earlier. The 2 pastas and 2 waffles with maple syrup and cream." We kept the cream in the fridge so that it wouldn't become warm. "What are you saying? We told you that we had changed our mind with the orders." "I'm sorry, but the change in orders was not something that we initiated, so we will need you to pay for your initial orders as well. It is not our fault that you changed your minds." "I can't believe that you charged us for the pasta and the waffles that we didn't eat." "Yes, that is what you ordered and we served you accordingly." "You must be joking. Why would we pay for something that we didn't eat? We're leaving." The mother and her family tried to leave the diner without paying their bill. The family was surprised to see the new customers coming into the diner. An elderly couple, also regular customers of the diner, had just arrived. "Welcome to our diner. We can't resist coming back. My husband loves the omelets you serve here." "Thank you so much." "Oh, you are?" You must be the wife of the hospital director. What a nice surprise. Do you and your family come here often? We are regulars too, you know.
I love the omelets that they make here.
The mother and father tried to hide the mess that their children had made, but the wife of the hospital director said, "Oh, are these your daughters?" She then saw how messy their table was.
Children love to make a mess, don't they?
The father tried to keep his cool, but he could not hide the stains on his daughter's clothes and the rest of the mess. I may be out of line, but I think that you should teach your daughter some table manners. You're being bad customers to the diner. The waitstaff and I nodded in agreement. You're absolutely right, the mother said nervously. Are you taking some food home for someone? To that, I answered with a smile. Actually, these were the first orders made by the family, but then they changed their minds several times and asked us to bring them new orders. We didn't want to waste the food, so we wrapped them up for them to take home. You changed your orders after your initial orders had already been prepared? That's not right. The mother and father realized that they had made fools out of themselves in front of the father's boss. They then took the takeout bags from me and said, "We plan to fully enjoy these at home." They paid their bill and rushed out of the diner. After the family had left, I said, "Thank you for your help earlier." It was nothing. We're just here to eat your delicious omelets. I suppose some people have a hard time educating their children properly. After that incident, we never saw the troublesome family at the diner again, and the waitstaff were relieved and happy. 6 months after, I heard from a friend that works at the same hospital as the hospital director that some people had been up for a promotion, including the father of the annoying family. But it seemed that after the incident at the diner, the father was removed from the candidate list. The director had decided that a person that cannot properly educate his own children would not be fit to manage and train people working at the hospital. Being a good manager and mentor is important at any workplace. We place importance on this at the dinner too. The hospital director made the right choice. I mean, who would want a doctor that takes no interest in educating his own children to make important medical choices?
My name is Takako Sukuyama. Recently, my mother told me a story about the time a girl was born. When the girl was born, she screamed her first cry loudly. She was 50 centimeters tall, weighed around 3,300 grams. A healthy girl if you ask me. However, that girl was born with a cleft lip. They say 1 in every 500 people is born with a cleft lip. Nowadays, doctors can scan the baby to see if they are okay. However, this was before those times without much technology. That's why everyone was surprised to see the baby. This wasn't any different for the parents who were told the baby was in perfect shape. They were even denied to hold the baby when she was born. Do you remember those movie scenes where the nurses say, "Congratulations, it's a healthy girl"? Well, that didn't happen for them. The baby was immediately taken to different doctors for immediate surgery. The husband was worried about the baby, waiting patiently for any news. The child's mother started to get worried about all the commotion. Is there something wrong with the baby?
It's too hard to tell from here, but the face looks...
The face looks what?
We're going ahead with the operation. We need everyone to vacate the room immediately.
The baby's father left the room, fearing for his baby. Even when the mother asked the doctors what was wrong, they just told her everything would be fine. This didn't really help her calm down. After the surgery, the two finally saw the baby, which left them at a loss for words. Why does she look like that?
This is what we call a cleft lip.
The baby's upper lip split open, exposing gum underneath. The two had no prior knowledge of cleft lip, and assumed the family would have a hard life dealing with it. They were already feeling down. Before even considering the baby, they were already thinking about how others would perceive them. The mother even started apologizing to everyone else for birthing such a baby.
Please don't say that.
There are ways to fix your baby. You shouldn't worry about it too much.
Everything else about the baby is very healthy. Let's all be thankful for that. The doctor tried reassuring her, which apparently didn't help as she started to worry even more. She felt bad that the baby would have to undergo a painful procedure. She was also worried if the surgery didn't go well, the baby would have to live in a deformity in her face. Their biggest fear came true. Hey, congrats on the baby! Their coworker came into the room. The mother already told her friends about the baby's condition, but apparently, that news also went to her least favorite coworker. She was the type who would say anything that came to her mind without any filters. That's why the mother and the other workers never liked her. Oh my god! She's a monster! The coworkers then started spreading rumors about how the mother used drugs during pregnancy, which caused the mutation. This caused the mother more stress. Needless to say, the mother never used drugs, let alone drink or smoke during the pregnancy, but the nosy coworker didn't believe her. Didn't you know that it's the mother's fault if the baby is born with a deformity? Even though the mother didn't want to believe her coworker, she started losing self-confidence. That's when her in-laws came in. Sorry for coming in late! After her in-laws heard their grandchild was born, they immediately booked a flight to visit. Needless to say, they already knew about the cleft lip from their son. While the mother was excited that her in-laws were visiting, she was still afraid of the reaction when they saw the baby. As Toma entered the room, she saw the baby's face and immediately ran towards the baby. She's so adorable! Her face is so puffy! And look at those lips! It's like that one character, Patariro! She's so cute! Toma didn't even notice how dumbfounded the others looked, and was only focused on the baby. That was when the coworker spoke up. Cute? How can you say the monster is cute? Are you crazy or something? Toma looked up at the coworker and said, Are you saying my grandchild is a monster? Huh? Have you looked at the baby? The only monster in the room is you. Your face is filled with makeup, you look fat, and your hair isn't even properly washed. This baby has the smoothest skin and silky smooth hair. She's a baby angel. Watch your mouth. I didn't come all the way to this hospital to be insulted like this. You watch your mouth. How dare you insult a baby that was just brought into this world? Oh, you just came here to make fun of the baby. How dare you come to this room to gloat over others? Maybe you're just here because you can't have a family of your own. Now get out of this room before I make you leave. Toma then made the coworkers leave the room with everyone shocked in the room. Oh, she's so cute and she looks healthy. Yumeko, thank you for birthing such a cute baby. That was when the mother noticed she still hadn't called the baby cute. She realized that she had to give the baby love no matter the circumstance, and started to cry out of guilt. When she looked closely at the baby, she realized that she was indeed a cute and healthy child, rather than a baby with a deformity. The mother and Toma started to talk about how the baby would be a star one day, which made the whole room feel lighter. A few days later, the mother and the father were given instructions on how the surgery went down, as well as examples of other children who underwent surgery. After looking at a few photos, they were relieved that the operation could be trusted and the baby would look normal. This is the story of what happened when I was born. We even joked about how I would have been a better fit for the Patariro role. I knew I had to stay at the hospital a little longer than the other babies, but I didn't think I was born with a cleft lip. My mother was actually more shocked that I didn't know. You really are a bright one. I now have a bigger appreciation for my grandmother for encouraging everyone when they were down.
My name is Bubio. I'm currently running a small paint shop. Although it was a small business, I still had a fair share of income from the company. After graduating high school, I isolated myself from the outside world. During this time, I started investing in the stock market, which ended up having a sizable income. Unfortunately, this is also around when my mother died in a car accident, while my father died from a disease. I was able to survive from the inheritance money and the income I earned from investing. That was when my grandmother decided to play matchmakers with me.
You need someone that can support you, and I know someone who's looking for someone to marry. You should meet her.
I decided to accept the offer and meet the person. I was able to meet with Eiko. Eiko found out I was an owner of a small business that lives in a well-kept apartment, which played a role in the upcoming events. I wasn't planning on spending the rest of my life alone, so I decided to date her, ending in a marriage proposal a few years later. Now, I'm happily married to her. Well, that was before we started living together.
Hey, can my family stay here?
Wait, here?
I want them to live in the best condition, you know?
Both of my parents are long gone, so I thought it was important to cherish your time with your family. That's why I gave her the go-ahead. It was almost as if they were prepared for something like this because they moved into the house the next day. At first, I thought we would live happily together, but it could not have been further from the truth. Eiko's parents and two of her siblings came into the house acting like they owned the place. They were also cold and mean towards me. Where's my dinner?
Huh? Make it yourself.
What? But your family is over there eating. Why isn't there any for me?
Do you understand English? I said, make it yourself.
She then slammed an instant noodle on the table, signaling it was my dinner. Not to mention, her family ignored me the whole way through. They used my kitchen, took my food from the refrigerator, and dared to act like they owned the place. And I'm stuck here with cup noodles?
He's not even blood related. Why is he here?
I heard he's a shut-in. He makes me sick.
He's so greasy all the time. Ugh.
They were the ones who barged into the house. Why am I the one insulted? I was furious at the whole family, but I couldn't say anything. I decided to eat the cup noodles in silence. The whole family decided to spend my money for their own leisure. My wife even dared to tell me,
Aren't you a CEO or something? Why don't you make more?
She's right. I gave you my daughter. And this is what you gave us? You can't even provide for us.
I was literally making enough money to support a whole damn family. What more do they want? But I was too much of a coward to say anything to them and decided to rent an apartment in a different place to live by myself. Why didn't I even marry her in the first place? That was when I decided to plot my revenge plan. There's no way they had any right to be this cold towards me. So I decided to plant small cameras around my house. I bet they're doing something shady. I was immediately able to get some evidence of wrongdoing.
Thanks for the meal.
Don't worry about it. Anything for you, my love. Yeah, you're a very bright and handsome looking guy. You even give us monthly allowance.
I found out some guy coming into my house every day. I even found my wife was sleeping with him. I was so disgusted by them. He basically had the life I expected when I married my wife. This guy became the husband of the household. I even found out my wife used my credit card to buy the guy a new car. Not to mention, he was the upcoming CEO of my wife's company. They used up 5 million yen? I guess everyone preferred an upcoming CEO of an established company rather than the owner of a small paint shop. What my wife didn't know was that the company that the guy was working at was actually owned by one of my relatives. The boss is actually my grandmother's cousin. In fact, thanks to my grandmother, I own 10% of the company. That's when I decided to hire a lawyer to get some advice. It was time for me to go on the offense.
What are you doing here? You're going to embarrass me. Go home.
As soon as my wife saw me, she treated me like I was a pile of garbage. That was when the current CEO of the company came in.
My cousin's grandkid is too embarrassing for you, huh?
What? Boss?
He's here for me. You should shut up and go back to work.
Okay.
I felt a little better seeing my wife getting shut down, but I wasn't done with her. He called the people involved in the scandal for the meeting.
How dare you do such a thing to my family? And you even went after his wife. I didn't know he was related to you. That shouldn't even matter in the first place. You should be ashamed of yourself for even sleeping with a married woman. Mubio, you want to say anything?
Yes, I want the two immediately out of this company and for them to pay damages they caused.
What? I can't do that. I don't want to get fired. Shut the hell up. You ruined this man's life. Take the punishments like a grown-up. As for you, Mubio, I will ensure they pay for every penny they've stolen from you.
No! Afterwards, my lawyer drafted a paper for the whole family to see. It told them to pay for all the money they used, as well as leave the house effective immediately. Long story short, I had all the right to ask for the money to be returned due to it being my premarital property, which also included the house. This means they could be arrested if they don't pay for the money. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention the alimony my wife has to pay. One of the many reasons for her being fired was the excessive amount of time she went to the hotel for business. As for C, all his severance pay will go into paying for the damages. After the incident, my wife called me several times. I guess the news went around that she was cheating on me and people were asking her questions about it. After marrying her, her attitude towards me changed, so I decided not to tell her how much I'm earning. It wasn't until now she realized how much inheritance money I had. That's why once she knew she was cut off from the marriage, she was panicking. She won't get a single penny out of me.
Please, forgive me. I'll make everyone apologize to you. So, let's get together again.
That's a funny joke. You acted like I was garbage, but once you found out how much I make, now you want to act friendly?
Wait! Mubio!
I immediately kicked the whole family out of my house and finalized the divorce. When my ex-wife's family found out, they were furious.
Why are we being kicked out of the house?
Yeah, are you fine with us being homeless?
I really couldn't care less about them. I threw them out and now had to deal with the real world without any money or a place to stay. After everything, my ex-wife and her other partner paid me for the damages they caused me. I decided to move into a different place. The last I heard, my ex-wife and her family are now living in a small apartment with no room for privacy. Serves them right!
My name is Sarah. One day, I was at home with my family when we saw on the news that a river close to where I live was flooding due to excessive rain in the area. As soon as my husband saw the news, he frantically picked up his phone and called his lover. I found out that he had a lover at the very moment. How dare he call his lover in front of me and the kids? I had no idea that he was having an affair. My daughter was shocked to find out and ran to her room in tears. The next day, my husband had left the house. No store would be open as early as 8 a.m. on a Sunday morning, so I was curious about where he had escaped to. My husband had been on the phone with his lover the night before. I had been planning to talk to my husband in the morning before the kids woke up, but he was already gone. It seemed that he had taken our only car, so I couldn't use it to go grocery shopping. I had to think about what I would say to the kids when they woke up. I couldn't think of anything because I was so distraught. Because I couldn't work it out with my husband, we decided to get a divorce. I was wrong to think that my husband of many years was loyal enough not to cheat on me. I'm going to explain about how my marriage began to fall apart. On Saturday evening, after dinner, our family was sitting in the living room watching the news on television. We saw on the news that due to heavy rain in our area, a river close by had flooded.
Do we need to evacuate?
No need to worry, our house is in a safe place, and we've never been impacted by a flood before. But the other side of the river has flooded at least twice in the past, so the residents there should probably evacuate to a safe place. As I was talking about this with my kids, my husband went into a panic and made a phone call.
Are you alright?
At first, I thought that he was speaking to his younger sister.
The north side of the river is dangerous, and your place could be flooded.
When I heard him say that, I realized that he wasn't talking to his sister because she lives on the south side of the river, just like us. And the loud voice I heard on the other side of the phone was not his sister's. My sister-in-law has a calm voice, and she's not the type to go crying for her brother's help. The kids and I were looking at my husband, wondering who he was talking to. My husband looked over at me. It wasn't a look of surprise. He just kept staring at me while he stayed on his phone. After some time, he got up and left the room.
Dad, where are you going?
My daughter followed my husband and left the room. All I could do was sit there in astonishment. My daughter caught my husband in the hallway, still on the phone to his lover.
Who are you talking to?
Someone from the office. I wanted to make sure they were okay.
You're lying! Let me talk to them!
My daughter tried to grab her father's phone from him,
Stop it! I'm hanging up now!
but he didn't hang up the phone. He tried to fight off his daughter so that she couldn't get a hold of his phone. My son joined the fight and grabbed the phone out of his father's hand. My husband tried to deny it all, but we found hard evidence on his phone. In the end, my husband had no choice but to give in. The following morning, my husband planned his escape from our home to his lover's place. He was unreachable on his phone at that point. He took our only car with him, so this made things very inconvenient for me. A few days had passed, and it was now Wednesday. When I came home from work, I saw that our car had been returned to the garage, but my husband was nowhere to be seen. A few more days passed, and we finally received a chat message from my husband.
Can I come home now? I want to talk with you guys.
What is there to talk about? You disgust me. How can you consider coming home to us after spending 3 nights with your lover?
After my daughter sent a reply, we didn't hear back from him. I think I need to talk to him, even if it means that we are either getting separated or divorced.
There's no need to talk to him. I don't ever want to live with him again. I want you to divorce him. I don't want him to be my father anymore.
She couldn't forgive her father for the fact that he ran away to his lover without sorting things out with his family first. My son searched the internet for ways to find evidence on infidelity. I was still too shocked to become angry, so my daughter was getting angry for the two of us. I wanted more time to speak to my children, but I was too busy with work on the weekdays to make time. I called my mother and told her about the possibility of my filing for divorce, but I hadn't informed my parents-in-laws yet. No matter how much time I spent thinking to myself, I knew that the marriage was irreparable. And just like my daughter, I didn't want my husband to come home, and I felt disgusted with him. After talking it over with my kids, we decided to visit my parents and tell them what was happening. I'm the type that doesn't like to turn back once a decision has been made, so I sometimes have to ask my mother to stop me if I go too far. I plan on telling my parents-in-law after consulting with my own family first. My in-laws are nice, but they will probably take their son's side. I checked how much savings we had as a household and also the rights to the home that we lived in. I might need to get a lawyer, but I suppose I would consult with my parents first. While my husband was staying at a nearby hotel, I sorted out my life to prepare for the life ahead of me without my husband. I knew that if I left my husband, I would need to work harder to provide for my kids. Despite this, my kids wanted their father out of the picture.
I don't ever want to see him again. If I do, I might strangle him. I'm gonna apply for a scholarship to go to college and get a job as well. Our father deserted us when a flood could have hurt us, and yet he went to see his lover. He chose her over us.
I don't want you to stay with him for the sake of financial stability. I'll help out too by getting a job.
With my children's support, I was able to inform my parents of my final decision. I'm upset that he cheated on you, but I'm more upset that he had the audacity to not hide it from his children.
He let down his whole family. For that, I won't forgive him.
Are you sure that you don't need more time to think it through? We will support your final decision.
I considered my father's advice, but my children and I were set on the evidence, so the time came to inform my parents-in-law. It must be some sort of misunderstanding. But when I showed them the evidence, they were speechless.
I think you should stay married for the kids. You two will be able to work this out.
To that, my children responded strongly against his words.
I'm only thinking about your happiness.
In the end, we left my in-laws on bad terms. And then my husband started to say that he wanted to come home to us. He even told me that he was still in love with me. To that I said, I've already started working on the divorce papers. I also want full ownership of this house. I'm sure you agree that I deserve this in exchange for what you've done. Your daughter says that she doesn't want to breathe the same air as you, so if you intend on coming back, then we'll be the ones leaving this house. After that, we talked about splitting our assets and alimony payments. When hearing all this, my husband panicked and came over to the house right away.
Don't you love me anymore?
You prioritize your lover over your family, so don't act like you know what love is. You don't deserve to be loved.
After embarrassing ourselves to the neighbors, my parents-in-law came to pick up my husband. Because my husband had acknowledged the affair, my mother-in-law had no choice but to side with me on the divorce. While my father-in-law still sided with my husband, the others and I prepared to go to court. I found myself a lawyer and got him to take care of the divorce settlements. The divorce was finalized, and I was due to receive a $15,000 alimony from my husband's lover. In the settlement, I received the house, saving and assets of the house. As alimony, my husband covered the mortgage payments for the house and the car. He had to leave our family penniless and take on our loans, and I received child support in one lump sum.
If he ever comes back, I'll chase him around with a kitchen knife and scare him away.
My daughter, who was usually quiet and reserved, grew into a tough and mature young woman over this incident. In a way, I feel bad that she needs to act tough to get through this.
How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.